All right, this is Dr. Letitia Wright, and this is the Business and Book Summit 3. I'm so excited to introduce to you all, outside of the Virginia Beach area, my friend Cheryl Tan. If you're in Virginia Beach and in Virginia, you know who she is. She is former television anchor with WAVY, and now she is having her own business, and she's bringing some of the great advice from all the interviews of highly successful entrepreneurs. She's bringing that to us for the Business and Book Summit. So welcome, Cheryl, to Business and Book Summit 3.
I thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I have really enjoyed my time as a television news reporter. I've been doing that for almost 20 years, and as you mentioned, I've had the chance to interview so many successful business owners. And so a couple of years ago, I thought that it was something that I could do post-television news and help business owners who were maybe not as successful, help them advance their message. So that is what I do. And what I do is I tell them how they can use their stories in order to connect with their customers. So get customers, and if media attention is something that is appropriate for them, I help them find the right place to share their story there. It's been a lot of fun.
That sounds exciting. So for those who are not from Virginia, just tell us a little bit about your television career and then your transition into your own business.
Right. Well, I started at the University of Virginia many, many years ago, and I never really planned for life in television news. I really planned on either being a newspaper writer, maybe going into radio news, and I had a mentor. It always starts with someone who kind of leads you along a path, and she said, maybe you should try television news. And I said, okay, I have no experience, I have no idea how to do all this, but she said, go ahead and give it a try. So I got my first on-air reporting job in Macon, Georgia. I knew nobody, had no ties or anything, but I got my first on-air job there, and I worked my way up there, moved to Richmond, Virginia, and then from Richmond, Virginia, moved to Hampton Roads, to the Virginia Beach, Virginia area, and I've been here for about 10 years or so. And as I mentioned, I love television news, but I felt like I wanted to do something different, something to help the business owners I was doing stories on, and I felt like I could use my skills to help them. So I left last month and just kind of starting this new venture. So this whole business thing is kind of new for me, but the part where I'm helping with storytelling, thankfully, I do know that.
Absolutely. So let's just talk for a little bit about why stories are so important in the business, because a lot of us come from a logical standpoint, right, where we want to tell the client, here's fact 1, fact 2, fact 3.
And you just said it, Dr. Wright. Facts are super, super important, but viewers, as we're used to dealing with when you're on the other side of the camera, they deal with emotion. And so buyers also deal with emotion, and they relate to a story. They relate to your backstory if you're a business. They relate to what you're struggling to go through to bring them a product or a service. And it lies in 3 things that I think to be successful in sharing a message. It lies in connection. So I want to share a story. It's a woman that I did a story on, I want to say it was more than a year ago, and her name is Cindy Roush. She owns the Skinny Dip. It is a local, so Virginia Beach-based, self-serve frozen yogurt shop, and it now has, she's now franchising and has 14 in 3 different states. So it's been several years, but she's been able to grow this business. And in the beginning, she knew it was about connection. She was serving frozen yogurt, which was at the time fairly new in the self-serve sense, but it was all about connection. So connecting with people and telling her story. And she was able to do that on Facebook, and she's got a Facebook following that's 30,000 plus, and she connects with her customers. She asks them what they want, what they want in self-serve frozen yogurt. And she responds to them, and it has helped grow her business. She connected with local businesses, local charities, to reach out and show that she was part of the community. And her story, too, is pretty amazing. She was a stay-at-home mom who took a chance on herself and has grown her business leaps and bounds. So that kind of thing, I think, resonates with people.
Absolutely. Let's talk for a moment about how, when you say connect, let's go into a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because clients don't, they don't know if connect means go out and shake hands and kiss babies, or
Right. Sometimes it does, right? I think it really means showing your value. I think, as we were just talking about, fact 1, fact 2, fact 3 kind of shows that you have something to sell, and that's fantastic. But showing your value is another thing entirely. So how does your product or service make your life better? There's a lot of stuff out there. We're not wanting for anything. So why would your product or service be something that you're willing to go online to buy, or go to a store, get in your car? Like, it's almost 100 degrees here, to get in your car and go to the store to get. Why would there be a reason to work with you? And showing your value means showing how you can add value to my life. And so part of it is sort of being very clear about that right in the very beginning. I know you're really big, Dr. Wright, on that 30-second pitch or that 60-second pitch, or like being really clear on how you offer that value, like right here, like not like 4 minutes later, but right in the very beginning. So I know you do that very well with the people that you work with.
absolutely. We really want to, well, I feel like people have only so much time and attention. And I'm very, very cognizant about time. Time is our life. Time is all we have. And so, if it takes me 30 minutes because, it's really complicated and I just can't explain it like that, for me, that's very much a turn off, and sounds like, I don't want to be involved in that. I don't want something complicated. I don't want to buy something that it takes you 30 minutes to explain to me what it is. And so people don't understand when a product is in demand, like Apple products, you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining, but everybody else has to explain their product. So you say you're big on making sure clients are ready to share. Let's talk about what it takes to be ready to share.
Well, you said it right there, Dr. Wright, is not taking 15 minutes to tell me what it is you do. So, or what it is that you sell. And I know people are excited. They're excited about what they do, and passion goes a very long way. Passion is critical. But sometimes when you ask people what they do, maybe they're trying to figure out what I want to hear. Maybe they're trying to figure out the best way, but what it is just say it. So I would say, I'm a former TV news anchor reporter, and I help businesses tell their story. Period. So if you're willing to listen, I'll go on. But that first sentence, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. I know what she's coming from, where she's coming from, and what she's all about. So.
What's the biggest surprise that you have about moving from working for the television station to working on your own?
Oh, that is a great question. I work the morning show for the last 7 years of my time at this TV station in Hampton Roads, and so my wake-up call was at 2:45 in the morning, and we started at 4:30 in the morning, and we ended at 9. So we were on the air for 4.5 hours. So the busiest part of the day happened right when you got to work. So I had to be at work at 4 a.m., on the air at 4:30, and then sort of on, like in full makeup by 4:30 in the morning. So that being said, it was one of those feelings that especially when you had big breaking news or stories that were developing, that you really felt you got your best work done by 9 o'clock in the morning, and then sort of everything is downhill, and then you've got kids at the bus stop and homework to do, and baseball and swim team. But it's great. It's a great, exhilarating and very busy life. And the switch that I've noticed coming to an entrepreneurial world is you're sort of never off. The one thing I always loved about television news is while there's a deadline, it seems like every minute of the day, and certainly you have a new deadline every day, and throughout the day you have multiple deadlines, you sort of have an end. So at 1 o'clock when your shift ends, or 11:30 at night when your shift ends, you're sort of done, and you kind of don't have to worry about it until the next morning or the next evening. But here, I've noticed you really have to be fairly disciplined. In fact, you have to be very disciplined to separate the time when you're working or even thinking about working or networking or writing or whatever it is. You sort of have to be deliberate in protecting that time, and then protecting the time that you have for, I don't even mean fun, but like chilling or playing with the kids, because that's why you did it in the first place. That's why you wanted to make that switch. And so some days I sort of feel like I should be working when I'm watching the kids swim, or sometimes I should be not working and just relaxing. And so it's sort of hard, or at least for right now, because I'm just so used to running, to like sort of delineate that time. But it's been a fun learning process, and it is a learning process, and I'm not quite there yet. I know that. I'm not quite to where I feel like everything's in blocks and time is like all managed, and I don't know if any of us have that. Do you?
No, well, I don't believe in balance. I believe in synergy, not balance.
I like that.
I never go for balance, because you have to think about it. If one of the boys is ill, you're going to be up all night with that kid, and you're going to be right there until it gets better. And then you're not going to go, well, I spent 24 hours with you, son, so now I'm going to spend 24 hours on my business. I'm going to work it all day. We don't do that. We just don't do that. But we do find a balance, and we do work around, our family issues and crises, and where our family needs us. And that's what's great about having our own business, is that we do have the opportunity to be flexible around that. So I believe in synergy. So there are times when you're going to be focused on your family a little bit more, and then there are going to be times when you're going to be a little bit focused on business. And if you've done everything right, you've communicated well, you've made things clear to your family what you're focused on and what you're doing, they can handle you being focused on a client, putting out a client's fire for a couple of hours.
Right. Right.
Even when you said you were going to go bowling, with them, and you say, okay, you guys go, I'll be there in an hour, let me put out this fire, and that's kind of how it goes. So that's why I love having my own businesses, the flexibility that it allows me to really make it, it's your business. You can make it however you want to. If your hours are 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., so be it.
Probably won't be doing that yet. 5 a.m. So.
Absolutely. So you and I share a great love of media, and I'm always trying to give people tips on how to be media ready, how to share the story with media, how to approach media. I find that a lot of clients don't understand how to approach. They just find out, oh, you're a reporter, Cheryl, do a story on me.
Right. Oh, I get it all the time.
So I know I'm always saying it, but I would love for my professional friends to share with people how is the best way to approach a reporter or the media, and what they should and should not be doing.
So this is such a great question, because I get it all the time. Like you said, when I'm out now, and when I was out before with the photographer, people would say, put me on TV. I don't really think they want that, because I have a camera right there. I don't think they're ready for that at that point in time. So first, as we mentioned, being clear about your value, and finding a way where your story can add value to a newscast will will save you. It will completely save you. Finding a way to tie your story in with the news of the day is absolutely critical. We have so many newscasts in a day, and there are added hours. They're not taking away newscast hours, they're adding it. So you know that news producers and reporters and anchors, they're looking for content, but it has to be the right content, and they're choosy. So first of all, if you have a story idea to pitch, think about how your story will add value to the people who are receiving the email or the phone call that you send, and then to the viewer. Is it something that's interesting to you, something interesting to your mother, your cousin, your neighborhood? And then if you decide to send it by email, and I do recommend email, unless you have a connection with someone that you can pick up the phone and call. But send an email, and this is sort of a pet peeve, but send it to the place that you intend to send it to. So if you're sending it to Channel 4, like, don't say, hey, Channel 4, and then send it to Channel 6. Like, that is, we get it all the time where they mix up the call letters or mix up the anchors, and it's just the same thing as if you were applying for a job and saying the wrong salutation, sending it to somebody different than the person that you intended to send it to. Just sort of do your due diligence there and figure out where that email needs to go, the right person, the assignment desk person, the producer, but make sure that name is spelled correctly and that you're sending it to the right station. So that's sort of the first thing.
So you don't have to say it, but I'm gonna say this part. That what she just said is so completely important, and she's not saying it. I'm telling you, they totally will throw away your note as soon as they see the messed up call letters. Okay, I'm not putting you on the spot, Cheryl. I'm telling you. That's what happens because they've got so many materials to go through. They cannot be bothered with someone who can't even make sure their stuff is accurate. So please don't take. She said it in the nicest way possible, but please don't. That is one of the most important things and the biggest problems with getting your story on the air. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So.
No, it is critical. Now, I will say that if it is a story idea with merit, a story idea with merit is going to win. It's going to trump. However, if you are a business and maybe your story is not one that will lead our newscast, if it is one talking about the value you bring, then yes, I would double check, triple check where it's going and how you're presenting yourself. And so speaking of that, I mean, there are two sets of stories out there. There's the breaking news kind, where you come across a sinkhole, for example, and you call into a television station or a newspaper. That kind of story, call the police first, that kind of story is a story that we're going to send a news crew out to. But if you're trying to share something related to your business, and let's say you are an AC repair person. I mentioned earlier that it's 100 degrees here right now, or at least it feels like it. And I know that AC guys and gals are pretty busy right now. But now is the time when you might start to see stories about heat going on the news. And I know people will say, well, it gets hot every year. That's actually not the point. It's still top of mind for most people. You go on your Facebook feed, you go on Twitter, half of them are about how hot it is. So it's likely because A, it's hot, or B, it's because something has maybe happened to their systems and they need some help fixing. So let's say you are an AC repair expert and you know that most people do something incorrectly. Maybe they should be checking something with their system before it gets hot or after it gets hot or after it breaks down, something that could help us. Send us a note. Like something like that is what I mean being timely, is finding a way to insert yourself in the newscast in a way that can help viewers, help a producer, help an anchor, and sort of something that we're all dealing with. We're dealing with the heat. At some point, we'll be dealing with the cold, and then the heating repair guys sort of have their chance. So it kind of works in a cycle. Everything sort of comes around, and if you have a new angle on air conditioners, maybe now is the time to pitch that and then share that with a producer that you have come in contact with, or an anchor on your local news broadcast, or just send it to the assignment desk.
Got it. Very good. All righty. Now, Cheryl, some people would like to work with you business-wise, and would like to just know how to connect with you. So can you tell us that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a website. That's probably the easiest way to reach out. I'm at CherylTanmedia.com, CherylTan media.com. And I get a lot of questions about how to get your story, get my story on the news, or how to talk to a journalist. So I have a free guide there that you just sign up, put in your email address, and I'll shoot that over to you. It's a free guide on how to pitch your best story to journalists. And you can get that right there. I have a media guide that I have as well. It's a quarterly one, so my summer one just came out, and it offers little insight into how newsrooms work, and it also shares evergreen ideas. And these are story ideas that can have that, as we mentioned, everything is a cycle. So you can use not all year long, but you can use them year after year. So every June, we've got graduations. July, we've got 4th of July, we've got heat. August, we start to think about back to school. So I have all of that in a media guide and other evergreen ideas to help you sort of target your story so that maybe has a better chance of getting on the news.
All right, very good. Thank you so much for joining us for our third Business and Book Summit. I think everybody's going to be very excited to get this information and, of course, replay it over and over again. So thank you so much for joining me, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right.